Hey everyone, I am trying out this brand new platform that I purchased. Well, I didn't purchase it, I signed up for, and it allows me to stream into all of my lovely groups and to our New Millennia Legal Facebook page and to my YouTube channel. So I think I should still be able to see your messages, but just in case I don't, I will come back and take a look at them. And if I miss your question, if you kind of catch this at the end, actually, if you catch it at the end, then you would be hearing this. Drop your question in the chat below, and I will be sure to answer them. So, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. And I am a lawyer located right outside of Fort Worth, Texas. So my practice focuses on two areas primarily. Number one is contracts, business contracts specifically. I've been doing contracts for 20 years. I say that a lot, but I just want to make sure y'all remember that. I may not look my age, but I've been doing it for a very long time. And also the second area of practice is trademarks. There was a really interesting post that one of my Facebook friends made on her page about 2 days ago, and it was the picture of a letter from her daycare, and it basically said, hey, I know that times are tough and we want you to be safe, but however, you're still going to be responsible to pay all of your daycare tuition fees, even though the daycare is closed and you can't bring your kids here, because we have utilities and we have bills, so therefore you have to pay us. Okay. And originally, when I responded, I kind of saw it and it was late at night, and everybody was commenting on this individual's page and was saying, well, it depends. And then even I kind of responded, I was like, well, it depends on what's written in the contract. But the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, let me think about that some more. Because my gut was like, oh, this makes me uncomfortable, but I had to think through, okay, why it makes me feel uncomfortable. So I asked her, I was like, can I repost this in my group? She's like, yeah, cool. So I posted in the group last night, and I knew I was going to get some folks commenting, but I didn't realize that y'all were going to be like, y'all were on it. I was like, okay. I like this. I like the feedback. I appreciate your comments on it, and y'all are funny. Y'all make me laugh. Thank you so much for the comic relief. And NJ, yes, I was messing with you, because you know how you get, like, if I don't respond, it should be like, Raven, where you at? You know, you drop stuff in here and you just disappear. I'm like, yeah, I do disappear, but it's fun messing with you. So thank you for being a good sport. But thank you guys for commenting and putting some really insightful, responses. So one of the things that I really like to do is use these real life examples to help you guys, kind of in your gut, like how you feel about it, but you have to be able to have a reason, like a legitimate reason behind it, instead of, I won't even say a legitimate reason, because your reasons are legitimate. I want to say something that you can kind of hang your hat on, something based on the law. You know what I'm saying? It helps your position so much more if you can articulate your objections based on, you know what I'm saying, based on actual concrete parts of the law. So, hey, Lois. So I wanted to give you guys my take. And I have some notes here. So if I keep looking down, I apologize, but I kind of don't. Because I want to make sure I touch on everything and I give you guys all of the reasoning behind it. Because this is really, really important. Because I hope to walk you guys through my logic. And maybe you'll come to the same conclusion. Or maybe not. But still, I want you to know kind of how I think and how I look at these types of situations. Because this is something that a lot of you are going through. Apparently, I didn't realize it, but well, yeah, I guess it makes sense because we all have kids. So you guys are going through it. So I think this is very important for you guys to learn from. So let me get to it. Do I feel like the parents are going to be obligated to pay, even though the daycare is closed and even though the daycare is not providing services? I say no. I really don't feel like it's going to be, I don't feel like the daycare is going to have any legal standing to try to come after the parents to get that money from them. And there's a couple of reasons why. And at first, when I responded to my Facebook friend, I said, it depends on what's written in the contract. But here, I really honestly don't think it even matters what's written in the contract. And I know you guys are probably like, Raven, you always say what's written in the contract, what's written in the contract. But there are instances where the contract is supposed to support the obviously public policy, right, and the laws of the land. The contract is supposed to support that, not kind of be in spite of. And usually, when you're dealing with consumers, not businesses, not talking from B2B, okay? A lot of the times that I talk in this group, it's always talking about B2B. So what's written in the four corners of the document is like 99% of the time law. But when you're dealing with consumers, it's different. You cannot just put any and everything into a contract and it be binding. The law is very, very protective of consumers. So when you're dealing with from business to consumer, sometimes there are times when what's written isn't always going to be the case. And so here, I feel like even if the contract does have something in there where it says you have to pay, even though, we're going to be closed or, during school closings or things like that. Number one, this is a completely unforeseeable circumstance, right? So when you have a contract, the whole point of a contract is having a meeting of the minds, meaning you understand what your obligations are, they understand what their obligations are, and the two of you act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Like you perform what you're supposed to do, they perform what they're supposed to do, but you have to understand what those are. And so here, what we have in this situation is we could not have foreseen, because this has never happened before, neither party could have foreseen that, okay, everything's going to be shut down for months at a time. So just because the contract had in there, okay, you have to pay if the daycare is closed, that doesn't mean that you have to pay if the daycare is closed for 5 years, right? So there is a time limit, although it hasn't been specified, but we all in our gut know and we feel like, okay, time limit to that. And, if the contract was, if this instance was, was going to be closed for 5 years, we would be like, okay, no, that's too much, right? So we know that there's a limit. So in this instance, I do feel like if it's going to be closed for months, no, that's something that's unforeseeable. And even if something was in writing, what is in writing did not cover what's happening right now. So that's the first thing. It's not foreseeable. Let's see. I don't feel like contracts have to be balanced to an extent. They really do. And trying to make parents pay for months, or even to me, more than 2 weeks, without providing a service is just, it's unreasonable. And to try to make parents pay for months without them receiving a service is borderline unconscionable. And unconscionable in contract terms means there is no way in hell a court is going to enforce that. Because when you look at the circumstance of what's happening right now, people are losing their jobs. People don't have money. Because you can't expect a parent to be responsible to pay not only for services that they're not getting, but they're not even able to pay because they're not making any money themselves. So that's, to me, that just is unconscionable. Again, I don't feel like anybody is going to be entitled to receive payment for services that they're not performing. So, and the other part, here's another thing. I asked the question, I said, okay, does it matter that they said, we've got utilities, we've got, we got to pay our people, we got to pay blah, blah, blah. I was thinking about that. I've got, not my fault, not my problem, right? I am so sorry that you have to pay your employees, but guess what? That's not my problem. You signed up for services, daycare services, and your concern is making sure that your child is taken care of, is figuring out a way, making sure that they can take care of their employees, right? When I charge my clients, I'm not saying to them, hey, make sure you pay this bill right here, or I'm going to money because I have to make sure I keep my business internet working. It's like, that's the cost of doing business. That's your responsibility. You need to take care of that. That's not my problem, right? I would never go to my clients and be like, yeah, man, this electric bill. Oh man, they'd be like, okay, why are you telling me? Like, make sure you work that into your other rates and you account for it and account for overhead. Now, the difference between what we talked about yesterday, which was making sure to try to hold people accountable, to try to tie your expenses to a non-refundable deposit, because then at that point, expenses did matter. But here's the difference between the expenses in that case and the expenses in this case. In this case, they're not directly attributed to your child going to that daycare. In other words, it's overhead. They'd have that electricity bill regardless. They'd have those other expenses regardless. Now, the only time that I would say the expenses do matter is if they signed up for something, or they how do I say this? Like, say your child has asthma, or really bad asthma, and the daycare took it upon themselves. They said, okay, if you sign up with us for a month, then we will go ahead and purchase this really expensive nebulizer. And, we'll use it just for your daughter. And you just have to make sure that you keep paying. So in that instance, that's different because they actually relied on you signing up and paying that money, and they went out specifically for you and they purchased something. You see the difference? And that is kind of the case when I was talking about the deposit yesterday. When you can attribute something directly to that particular client, something that you relied on their agreement, you relied on their commitment, and you took on an expense, then that's a direct expense. That's different. You can charge it. And I feel like this is kind of true, like in the CPA world, in the accounting world. There are direct expenses, there's overhead expenses. Some things you can bill directly and some things you can't. You just got to make sure you roll it up into your overhead, So that's what I say about the expenses. And here's the thing. I read a couple of comments and they were saying, this is standard language. This is, I use this language and blah, blah, blah. And I get that. But to me, there's no real such thing as standard. And this is one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, you have to make sure you don't just rely on what's written, tailor it to your circumstances, because just because language is standard doesn't mean that it's going to be enforceable under every single situation. So if everybody is using this language, to me, that's not dispositive of it being good language or even being enforceable. It just means that a lot of people have probably passed around the same free template, because we all know y'all business owners do not pay for contracts a lot of times. Y'all use those free templates that you download off the internet or pass around like a pack of cigarettes amongst yourselves. So you can't just rely on, the standard language and everybody uses it. So let's see. There was one other thing. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. So even though I feel like, this agreement really is not going to be, I won't say agreement. I will say, I don't think that even though I think the daycare cannot hold the parents legally responsible to pay this money, I still feel like the daycare, on the other hand, is not going to be responsible to hold your child's place. So because the situation is so just completely unforeseen, it's extenuating, nobody's ever seen this before, I personally believe that it has caused both parties to be released from any agreement. So if you decide not to pay, you don't have to pay. But if you decide not to, I feel like it's not the daycare's obligation to hold your child's spot either. And I will say this, it's kind of irritating when I hear businesses say things like, oops, hey. It's kind of irritating when I see businesses say things like, I have expenses and things like that. That just kind of gets under my skin. I don't think that's a very good argument. And I think that's up to them. Make sure you have enough insurance. Make sure you have insurance that covers enough of your risk. And then on top of that, what if you pay all this money? Oh, we got to pay all these utilities. But guess what? All the utilities, not all, but a lot of the utilities are putting bills on hold. You're sitting up there thinking that you're paying for all these things, but then on the back end, they could be, I'm not saying that they would, and I'm not saying that they are. I'm just saying that they could be getting a break on the back end, and then they're keeping the money. So, and then on top of that, to me, the argument of we still have to pay for utilities, well, nobody's in the building. Like, who's using the water? You got ghosts or something? Like, I mean, who's using the electricity? Like, what are y'all doing in there? And it just didn't sit right with me. I'm like, so you pay this, I'm supposed to pay you the same amount, but yet nobody's in the building. And chances are, if they're like any other small business, their hourly workers, they're not getting paid. And then on top of that, the SBA is giving loans. Mortgage companies are being, mortgage companies are allowing people to skip a few months of payments or tacking them onto the back end. There's just a lot of other areas or other ways that they, as a business, can mitigate this other than putting it on, in my opinion, their customers when it's not their customers' problem. The customers have their own problems. That's not their problem. So it's just really irritating. Well, I got bills. We got bills too. So, all right. Let me see if I can see any comments. Okay, they could have just stated, in order to hold the space, they'd be required to pay. That utility claim is filed because the parents have bills too. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that's a really good argument at all. Again, if they were saying that they had expenses directly related, like they went to an individual parent and they incurred an expense for that particular child, I do feel like the parent might still be responsible to pay that if they committed to it. But other than that, I don't feel like it. I mean, and if they had said something like a portion should be paid, like maybe like a hold fee of $50 a month or something, I could be like, okay, yeah. I get that. I totally get that. But the full amount? I wish somebody paid me the full amount and me not do anything. I should go contact my clients and be like, hey, I'm going to charge you this right here, a couple $100 an hour, but I'm not going to do anything for you because of the coronavirus. I think the clients be like, okay, bye. Oh, goodness. All right. Do you guys have any questions? Does that make sense? Did my explanation make sense? I hope it did. You go back through my notes and make sure I did not miss anything. Oh, ha. I didn't write this down, but I did want to talk about this folks, make sure that you remember that contracts obviously are important, but contracts are only as good as they reflect the reality of the situation. And it kind of goes to my point when I was saying, standard language, whatever, but make sure that you go through your agreements or have a lawyer have a contracts lawyer go through your agreements, because y'all are not going to be able to spot these things. Make sure you have a contracts lawyer go through your agreements and make sure everything is ticking in time, because if it's not fitting your situation, it's going to be a weak contract. That's templates. Templates are great to start with, right? But they're not necessarily what you want to finish with. Template, the way that I look at a contract template, and I probably said this in the group before at one point, a contract template is like an uncooked piece of chicken, right? It's there, right? But you got to add some seasonings to it. You got to cook it. You got it before you serve it to somebody. Y'all are serving up uncooked chickens in your business because you just take stuff and then you don't really know what the heck you're doing with it. Bless your hearts. And I know you try. I know my heart goes out to you, but they're not good. And I try not to make people feel bad about what they're doing in their business, but I'm telling you, it's worth the investment. If you have the money, please hire a contracts attorney to review it. Don't serve up uncooked chicken, because that's when you get food poisoning, throwing up, you get sick. It hurts you. Cook the chicken. All right. Alrighty. Whoops. I don't know why that message was popped up. Sorry about that. I'm trying out this new service, so I don't know what I'm doing with it apparently. Let me know if that makes any sense, or if I need to clarify something for you guys. Turn this off. I'll wait a second to see if anybody has any questions. While I'm waiting to see if anybody has questions, I actually slicked down my edges today, y'all. Okay, so I'm good with makeup, but I'm bad with hair. Like, I cannot do hair to save my life. I cannot do hair. I cannot do my hair. I can't do my daughter's hair. All I do with my daughter's hair, it's long. Her hair is so long and it's so healthy, but all I can do is put it in like 10 pigtails, 10 little braids. That's all I can do. And my hair, like, I try to slick down and they pop up, and I try to do the little baby hairs, but y'all, they do not want to work with me. But today I kind of slicked it down a little bit. Ugh. Oh well. All right. I don't see any other questions. I hope this was thank you, Eloise. I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any questions, even watching this on the replay, definitely post them below. I do want to answer them. And if you guys have other questions that are kind of, I don't know, things that are popping up in your business and you want me to do a live on it, then send them to me. I really, really, really would love to do more lives. I'm bad about doing lives, so I won't commit to doing them, but I would like to. If you guys send me like a really good question, like, I will definitely do a live to answer it. And like contracts and trivia and stuff like that. So I'm happy to do it. All right. Well, I don't see any comments. I don't see any questions. Let me just check Facebook really fast. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Doggone it. I'm not seeing any of my comments. Okay, let me go back to I didn't realize you guys had put comments on Facebook. This thing is not showing me all of your comments. Okay. Daggone it. So I need to know about this makeup lady. Y'all are funny. How to have this conversation with daycare when we curious. Okay. So now you're trying to figure out how to have the conversation. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Why can't I see all my comments? Hold on. Give me one quick second. This is not working. Let's try this. Oh, Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, let me scroll up. Hey, thank you for joining, BB and Kenyatta. Oh, thank you, Kimlia. Not my issue. Oh, you're welcome. Yes, okay, Kimlia, exactly. Just when you're a consumer, it's so different. It's much different than engaging with a business, which contracts pretty much when you're dealing with a business, whatever's written in the agreement is what's in the agreement. But when you're dealing with consumers from a business to consumer, it's automatic. David said, when does force majeure come into play? It depends on what the force majeure clause says in it. It just depends. Some force majeure clauses have just acts of God. Some force majeures do have, like if there is a strike or a government shutdown. But I'm trying to think. Those are usually the most common. This depends on what's written in the clause. But even if it's a force majeure clause, in this case, you know that still lends itself to the same answer for me. The answer is still going to be no. I mean, a force majeure clause is just going to actually make it a stronger no. That's my point. Yep, exactly. Have the utilities suspended. And oh gosh, the sun just came out. I can't get up. I have on crazy pants, so y'all can't see that. So the sun's just gonna have to be in my eyes. The thing is that businesses actually have the ability to negotiate the rates for. Oh golly, hold on. Let me turn this off. They have the ability to negotiate the rates for, for their business. So them using that as a reason to me is just ridiculous. Okay. Makes perfect sense. I'm going to use the same lingo, force majeure. Yep, during a situation. Yeah, it just depends on how the force majeure is written. It's hard for me to say, give you a concrete answer without actually looking at the clause, because remember, there aren't standard clauses. It just depends on what's written in that clause, because I write arbitration clauses, their industry, depending on who they are, depending on, if it's B2C or B2B, so even though an arbitration clause is a standard clause, it's written differently depending on, you know what I'm saying? Depending on what the facts of your situation are. So even the force majeure, I can't really say. I'm sorry. Yep, I can do makeup, but I can't do hair. BB can do hair, but not makeup. Great for myself. Okay, I think I got through everything. So thanks, guys. Sorry, I kind of fumbled my way through my restream, but I think it's still a really cool platform. If you guys are business owners, which like 99.99% of you are who are in this group, I signed up for restream.io. You can see the little logo in the top right-hand corner, but this is so cool because you can stream to all of your groups, your page, your personal page, YouTube. What else is on it? LinkedIn, but LinkedIn doesn't allow everybody to stream. So if you're one of those people who have been approved to stream on LinkedIn, you can link your LinkedIn, and a bunch of other platforms. So anyway, I'm trying to figure out how to use it. So sorry, I'm kind of fumbling around, but all right. I don't see any other questions. Let me go back to here. Just make sure. All right. Okay. This sun is in my eye. Again, I got on crazy pants, so I'm not going to get up and close these blinds, but I am going to get off. All right. You guys have a wonderful, oh, it's not helping. This is horrible. All right. You guys have a wonderful evening, and let me know if you have any questions, post them below.